What was it like even being on the set of the Ten Commandments, young Kathy Garver?
Well, it was one of my first movies, and I was just hired as an extra. And I was, you know, curious about everything. I used to run down on the set and see if the animals were still there. As I said, I was just hired as an extra to be on this little wagon going out of town, so to speak. And it was at Paramount Studios, and uh, so I was on the wagon, and all of a sudden I heard this great big voice yell out, "Don't let that little girl's face get in the camera!" And I said, "Who is that? Is he talking to me? Is that God?" Because it was coming from above, but it was Cecil B. DeMille on this great big crane. And so I said, "Oh, okay, I'm going to do what he says." Definitely. So I was, the assistant director came over and put a blanket on my head a little bit so you couldn't see me too well. After the scene was over, he came off of his crane and I met him. And then he wrote scenes into the Ten Commandments for me opposite Charlton Heston. And the movie itself was so exciting for a little girl. I mean, I was excited usually wherever I went. Like the first movie was The Night of the Hunter. And that was with Charles Lawton's first movie that he directed. And that was with Robert Mitchum and Shelley Winters and Peter Graves and all these wonderful people. And that was pretty scary because Robert Mitchum played this uh, bad preacher with LOVE and HATE written on the other hand, and they would fight, and he was, just insane. And my faux brother, I played the double of Sally Jane Bruce in at the end of May. There, I'm going to this event called the Henri Boys because Robert Mitchum and John Mitchum had a certain. They were the bad guys. They played the bad guys in the movies, and they were so good at it. And they had a little rough around the sides. Anyway, I digress. You see, this is I get easily distracted in talking as well as just doing things. So back to the Ten Commandments, it was so thrilling to be like whoever was on a paper mache mountain. I said, well, this is kind of fun. And then had all these water in vats around on a catwalk because that was going to simulate the closing of the Red Sea. There's the paper mache mountain. Charlton Heston is asking me, he says, "Are you afraid?" And I'm holding out my doll. I say, "No, but Rebecca is." And that was in the first scene that you had shown before. I'm coming down the steps and I say, "Oh, there I am." I says, "Where's Rebecca?" And someone in this little hole right there says, "Well, here's Rebecca." And so I take the doll and I walk down to go get some water, etc. So it tied the two things in. DeMille always wanted to add a human element to his epics because they were so grand and had thousands of soldiers going through the the Dead Sea and without the water, and so this made the show more relatable to the people.
To be a part of such an extraordinary movie, and then a beloved television series, and then everything else that you have been a part of, it really is extraordinary, right? I mean, you are in the annals of entertainment history.